Ladies and gentlemen, there are moments in life when the best thing you can do is nothing at all. The world moves at a fast pace, and we are often caught up in the rush to prove ourselves, to speak our minds, to defend our honor. But there is an extraordinary power in stepping back and choosing silence. The world is filled with noise that drowns out clarity, noise that fills our hearts with confusion, and noise that steals our peace. But what if I told you that sometimes your silence is the greatest weapon you have? What if, instead of shouting to be heard, you allowed your actions, your calm, and your presence to speak for you? You see, the truth is this: when you know your worth, when you are confident in your purpose, you do not need to force others to recognize it. You do not need to chase after validation. When you understand who you are and where you are going, the people who matter will come to see it in time. Step back, stay silent, and watch what happens. When you remove yourself from the drama, from the chaos, from the constant noise, you give people the space to realize your value. They will come to appreciate your worth when they no longer have access to you. They will beg for your attention, your wisdom, your presence. And when that happens, you will know that you are in control, not because you fought for it, but because you recognize the strength in your silence. This is not about being passive, my friends. It is not about retreating out of fear or doubt. No, this is about knowing when to stop giving your energy to situations that do not deserve it. It is about taking the time to reflect, to grow, and to let those who truly need you find their way back. Let them chase you. Let them realize what they had, what they lost, and what they need. But only after you've given them the space to understand it. Silence, my friends, is not weakness, it is strength. Step back. Stay silent. And in time, they will beg for the very thing you withheld, not because you took something away, but because you gave them the gift of self-reflection. And in that moment, you will stand stronger than ever before. The power of silence is often underestimated, but it is through silence that we find our greatest strength, our greatest clarity, and our greatest influence. So I encourage you today, when faced with conflict, with noise, with distractions, step back, stay silent, and watch as the world shifts in your favor. Silence is often misunderstood in today's world. It is frequently seen as the absence of sound, a void to be filled, or even a weakness. In a society driven by constant communication, the need to speak, to be heard, and to assert oneself is frequently emphasized. Yet, in this loud, fast-paced world, there is an immense and underappreciated power in silence. True silence is not merely the absence of noise, it is an active choice, a deliberate pause that carries with it deep meaning, strength, and influence. The power of silence lies in its ability to create space for reflection, to give us control over our emotions, and to establish our worth without uttering a word. It is in silence that we gain clarity, power, and sometimes even victory. We live in a culture that encourages constant interaction and visibility. We are told that to succeed, we must be seen, heard, and known. Social media platforms bombard us with the message that our lives are not complete until we share them with the world. Our careers, relationships, and personal lives are often conducted in public, with every action and opinion potentially on display for others to scrutinize. The pressure to constantly perform, to keep up with the demands of others, and to never miss a moment can be overwhelming. Yet in the midst of this cacophony, there is something truly powerful about stepping back and choosing silence. Silence allows for space. It is in those quiet moments when we withdraw from the noise of the world that we can connect with our inner selves. This stillness creates an environment where we can think deeply, reflect on our goals, and reconnect with our sense of purpose. Without the distractions of external chatter, we become more attuned to our true desires, our core values, and our aspirations. In the quiet, we are no longer influenced by the opinions of others, the demands of society, or the expectations placed upon us. We can simply be. Moreover, silence creates the space for others to step forward and make their own discoveries. We often underestimate how much we influence others simply by being present. In conversations, we can dominate the dialogue, filling every moment with our words. But by stepping back and allowing silence to fill the air, we give others the opportunity to speak. We create the room for their thoughts, ideas, and emotions to surface. Silence becomes an invitation, an opening for others to express themselves freely without feeling interrupted or overshadowed. It can empower others to find their voice and gain the confidence to express what they might have otherwise kept silent about. The strength of silence is also rooted in its ability to create boundaries. In a world where people are constantly vying for our attention, silence can be a powerful way to protect our energy. There are moments in life when we are faced with demands, requests, or opinions that do not align with our values or goals. In these moments, silence can be a shield. It allows us to maintain control over what we give our time and attention to. Instead of reacting impulsively or giving in to the pressure of others, we can choose silence as a means of preserving our peace. When we remain silent, we are not surrendering, we are asserting our right to choose where we place our energy. Silence is a declaration of what we value and what we will not engage with. In the realm of conflict, silence can be even more powerful. When faced with criticism, judgment, or disagreement, many of us feel the instinctive urge to respond, to defend ourselves, or to explain our actions. However, silence can be an even more potent response. It denies the conflict the energy it craves. It removes the fuel that keeps the fire of argument burning. In many cases, when we choose silence over response, the situation loses its momentum. The other party may be left without the expected confrontation and in turn forced to reassess their approach. Silence in this context is not a sign of weakness or submission, but a mark of strength and self-control. There is a profound psychological power in silence as well. We often find ourselves surrounded by noise, whether it's the hum of traffic, the chatter of people, or the endless stream of information coming from our devices. This constant noise can overwhelm our senses and cloud our judgment. In moments of silence, our minds can finally rest. We can pause and take a breath, allowing our thoughts to settle. In this stillness, we often find clarity. We can approach decisions with greater insight and our intuition becomes sharper. Silence is a space where our thoughts can be sorted, our emotions can be processed, and our plans can be made with precision. It is in silence that we can connect with our deeper selves, allowing us to make choices that are aligned with our true desires rather than reacting out of impulse. Furthermore, silence is not just about refraining from speaking, it is also about the energy we give off. Our presence in a room, our body language, and the way we carry ourselves often communicate more than words ever could. When we choose to remain silent in a moment where others are speaking, we often command attention. People are drawn to those who are at peace with themselves, who do not feel the need to constantly fill the air with words. The power of silence is magnetic. It signals confidence and inner strength. When we are comfortable in silence, we radiate a sense of calm that others find compelling. It is in these moments that we become the quiet center of attention, not because we are trying to be, but because our silence speaks volumes. In many situations, silence also serves as a form of self-preservation. When we are faced with overwhelming circumstances, silence provides us with a break from the mental and emotional strain. It is a moment of pause before we react, a chance to reflect and regroup. In the heat of the moment, when our emotions are running high, it is easy to say things we don't mean or make decisions we later regret. Silence gives us the opportunity to pause, allowing our rational mind to take control and our emotions to settle. By choosing silence in these moments, we protect ourselves from making hasty decisions that might not serve our best interests. There is also the power of silence in the realm of relationships. In times of disagreement or tension, we often feel the need to speak, to justify ourselves, or to correct the other person's perspective. However, silence can be a form of wisdom in these moments. It allows us to listen, truly listen, without the need to respond immediately. By remaining silent, we show respect for the other person's feelings and opinions. It is in this silence that understanding can arise. The act of truly listening without interruption creates a space for connection and empathy. It allows both parties to feel heard and in turn promotes resolution and healing. In leadership, silence is equally powerful. A leader does not always need to be speaking to lead effectively. In fact, some of the most impactful leaders are those who know when to be silent, when to listen, and when to allow their actions to speak for them. Leadership is not about constant verbal direction or asserting control. It is about guiding others through example, wisdom, and strength. In the moments when a leader chooses silence, they communicate trust, patience, and confidence in their team. Silence can be a strategic tool, allowing a leader to observe, assess, and guide without interfering in the natural flow of events. In this way, silence can be a catalyst for growth and development within a team or organization. Silence is not merely a passive state of inaction. It is an active choice that holds tremendous power. It is the quiet space where our minds find clarity, where we set boundaries, and where we communicate without words. It is in silence that we find our strength, our peace, and our ability to influence the world around us. By embracing silence, we free ourselves from the need to constantly prove our worth or defend our actions. In the stillness, we come to understand that our true power lies not in what we say, but in what we choose not to say. Silence gives us the ability to be present, to reflect, and to make choices that are rooted in our deepest values. It is through silence that we find our voice and our strength, and it is through silence that we sometimes influence others more profoundly than words ever could. There are moments in life when the most powerful thing you can do is not act. In a world that prizes constant movement, effort, and striving, the concept of stepping back is often undervalued. We are conditioned to believe that success requires an unrelenting push forward, that every moment demands our energy, our focus, and our initiative. Yet stepping back, taking a pause, withdrawing from the action, or simply choosing not to engage can be one of the most powerful decisions we ever make. In fact, it is often in these moments of retreat that we find our greatest strength.
In the rush of daily life, it is easy to get swept up in the flow, to feel the pressure of meeting deadlines, fulfilling expectations, and keeping up with others. We can become so consumed by the need to be seen, to prove ourselves, and to assert our presence that we forget to question whether this constant motion is truly serving us. But there are moments when stepping back, withdrawing from the noise, and choosing stillness is not only the best option, but the most strategic one. The strength in stepping back comes from recognizing that action is not always required. There are times when moving forward without clarity can lead to mistakes, missteps, or even harm. When we step back, we give ourselves the chance to assess the situation from a place of calm. This space allows us to see things from a broader perspective, to consider different angles, and to make decisions that are aligned with our deepest values and long-term goals. Without this pause, we risk reacting impulsively, driven by emotions or external pressures, rather than responding thoughtfully and intentionally. The power of stepping back also lies in its ability to create distance between ourselves and external influences. We live in a world that constantly demands our attention, that expects us to respond immediately, to be available at all times, and to keep up with the ever-changing currents of society. Stepping back from this whirlwind provides us with the opportunity to regain our sense of self. It is easy to lose ourselves in the noise of the world, in the opinions of others, in the demands of work or family, in the endless influx of information. But when we step back, we create the space to reconnect with who we are, what we truly want, and what we stand for. This reconnection is essential for our emotional and mental well-being. It is only in moments of withdrawal that we can hear our own voice above the chaos and clarify what is truly important to us. Moreover, stepping back allows us to conserve our energy. In a culture that constantly encourages hustle and grind, it can feel as though we are expected to be in a state of perpetual motion. However, this constant exertion can lead to burnout, exhaustion, and a loss of passion. By stepping back, we give ourselves permission to rest, to recharge, and to replenish our mental, emotional, and physical reserves. This pause is not a sign of weakness, but a recognition of the need for balance. It is the understanding that we cannot pour from an empty cup, and that by taking time to step back, we can return to our pursuits with renewed vigor, focus, and clarity. Stepping back also provides the opportunity to assess our relationships and the people around us. When we are constantly in motion, we may find ourselves caught up in the demands and needs of others. We can become so focused on helping others, fulfilling obligations, or being there for people that we lose sight of our own needs. Stepping back creates the necessary space to reflect on our relationships and to determine whether they are truly serving us. Are we giving more than we are receiving? Are we investing our time and energy in relationships that nurture and support us? Or are we allowing ourselves to be drained by those who take but do not give? This space allows us to make more intentional choices about where we invest our energy and who we allow into our lives. In many ways, stepping back is an act of self-respect and self-care. It is about recognizing our own worth and not allowing others to diminish or deplete us. Another aspect of the strength in stepping back is the clarity it brings. When we are fully immersed in a situation, it is difficult to see the bigger picture. Emotions can cloud our judgment, and the urgency of the moment can distort our perspective. But when we take a step back, we can often see things more clearly. The fog of stress and pressure lifts, and we are able to view the situation with a sense of objectivity. In this space, we can assess our goals, our priorities, and our strategies with greater precision. We can identify what is working, what needs to change, and what no longer serves us. Stepping back allows us to recalibrate, to realign ourselves with our deeper purpose, and to make choices that are in harmony with our long-term vision. It is also important to recognize that stepping back is not about avoiding challenges or running away from problems. It is not an escape, but rather a way to approach situations with a clearer mind and a stronger sense of self. Often, when we face difficulty, our first instinct is to push forward, to fight harder, or to try to control the outcome. However, this approach can sometimes exacerbate the problem. Stepping back allows us to take a breather, to let go of the need to control every outcome, and to approach the challenge with fresh insight and a calm demeanor. It is in this calmness that we find our strength. Rather than reacting in haste, we can respond thoughtfully and strategically, making decisions that serve our greater good. Furthermore, stepping back allows us to trust the process. In our fast-pacing world, there is a strong emphasis on instant gratification and quick results. We are often told that we must act now, make things happen, and seize every opportunity. But not every situation requires immediate action. Sometimes, the best thing we can do is allow things to unfold naturally. Stepping back is an act of trust in the process of life, in the idea that everything happens in its own time, and that we do not need to force outcomes. It is an understanding that the universe, or the forces at play in our lives, will present the right opportunities when the time is right. By stepping back, we release the pressure to control and allow the natural flow of events to guide us toward what is best for us. The strength in stepping back is also evident in how it allows us to lead with greater wisdom and integrity. Leadership is often seen as an act of constant engagement, of making decisions and taking charge at every turn. Yet, some of the greatest leaders are those who know when to step back and allow others to take the lead. They understand that leadership is not about being in control at all times, but about guiding and empowering others. By stepping back, a leader can create space for others to grow, to step into their own power, and to take ownership of their actions. In doing so, the leader gains respect and admiration, not through domination, but through the ability to allow others to shine. Stepping back, in its essence, is about choosing what is best for our growth, peace, and clarity. It is a recognition that action is not always the answer, and that sometimes, by doing less, we achieve more. It is an understanding that true strength lies not in relentless forward motion, but in the ability to pause, reflect, and act from a place of wisdom and intentionality. In moments of uncertainty, in times of conflict, and in the pursuit of our goals, stepping back is often the key to finding the strength, clarity, and peace we need to move forward with purpose and power. It is in these moments of retreat that we find our true power, not through effort, but through stillness. By choosing to step back, we position ourselves for greater success, deeper understanding, and more meaningful connections with ourselves and others. There is a profound wisdom in allowing others to realize your value instead of constantly asserting it. In a world where we are often told to prove ourselves, to fight for our recognition, and to make sure our worth is seen by others, there is something incredibly powerful in stepping back and letting the world come to its own conclusions about who you are and what you offer. It requires patience, self-confidence, and most importantly, an understanding that true value cannot be imposed or rushed. It must be recognized in its own time, by those who are ready to see it. We live in an age where instant validation is readily available through social media, where likes, shares, and comments can give us a false sense of worth. Yet, this external validation is often fleeting, shallow, and does little to affirm our true value. The need to be seen and recognized is natural, but constantly seeking recognition can lead to dissatisfaction, frustration, and even a sense of emptiness. We may find ourselves exerting endless energy to prove our worth to others, only to be met with indifference or resistance. This is where the power of allowing others to realize your value comes into play. When we step away from the constant hustle of seeking approval or recognition, we give ourselves the freedom to grow into our full potential. True value is not something that can be manipulated or manufactured. It is something that exists naturally, quietly, and steadily. In the same way that a diamond is valuable, even if no one has yet discovered it, our worth does not need to be shouted from the rooftops or paraded before others. It stands on its own, waiting to be recognized by those who are capable of appreciating it. This process of self-discovery and external recognition can only occur when we are willing to let go of the need for immediate validation and trust that over time, those who are meant to see our worth will do so. Allowing others to recognize your value is a demonstration of self-assurance. It requires an inner belief that your worth is inherent and does not need to be constantly proven. When we are secure in who we are and what we offer, we no longer feel the need to force our value upon others. We understand that those who are meant to see it will do so in their own time. It is an act of patience and wisdom to know that recognition is not something that can be rushed or demanded. Just as the sun does not need to prove its ability to shine, we do not need to prove our worth to others. Our value is self-evident, and it will be recognized when the time is right. One of the key benefits of letting others realize your value is that it invites a deeper level of respect. When we try too hard to convince others of our worth, we may inadvertently come across as desperate or insecure. People can sense when someone is constantly seeking validation, and this can undermine their perception of us. On the other hand, when we quietly allow our value to shine through, when we let our actions speak louder than our words, others are more likely to respect us for who we truly are. Respect is not something that can be demanded, it must be earned over time, and this is achieved through consistent, authentic behavior that aligns with our values, not through the constant need for external validation. Furthermore, allowing others to realize your value frees you from the burden of constantly seeking approval. When we are fixated on proving ourselves to others, we become trapped in a cycle of dependency on their recognition. Our self-worth becomes tied to their approval, and this can lead to feelings of inadequacy when that approval is not forthcoming. But when we let go of the need for validation, we break free from this cycle. We no longer rely on the opinions of others to determine our worth. Instead, we become the source of our own validation. This sense of internal confidence allows us to navigate the world with greater peace, knowing that our value is not contingent on what others think of us. There is also a great deal of strength in allowing others to come to their own conclusions about our worth. By stepping back and not actively pushing for recognition, we allow people to see us without the filters of expectation or manipulation. We let them form their own opinions, and when they do, their recognition is more genuine and meaningful. In this way, the value that others see in us becomes a reflection of their own growth and understanding, not something we forced upon them. This creates a deeper, more authentic connection because the recognition is not based on external pressure, but on a mutual understanding that has developed over time.
Another important aspect of letting others realize your value is the ability to trust the process of life. So often, we want to control the way we are perceived, to shape the narrative of how others see us. But the truth is, we cannot control how others perceive us, nor should we try. People will form their own opinions based on their experiences, their perspectives, and their needs. We cannot dictate these things, nor can we manipulate them. Instead, we must trust that the right people will recognize our worth at the right time. This trust allows us to relax and release the need for validation. It enables us to focus on what truly matters: our growth, our integrity, and our purpose. We stop worrying about what others think and start focusing on the things we can control: our actions, our intentions, and our authenticity. Allowing others to realize your value also gives them the opportunity to appreciate you fully. When we constantly seek validation or attention, we risk overwhelming others with our need for approval. This can create a sense of pressure, and it can even push people away. But when we step back and allow others the time and space to recognize our worth on their own terms, we give them the opportunity to truly appreciate us. This appreciation is more meaningful because it is not forced or rushed. It is the result of a process of discovery that is authentic and sincere. People are more likely to respect and value us when they come to that realization on their own, rather than when we are constantly pushing them to see our worth. There is also a profound sense of liberation that comes from stepping back and allowing others to recognize our value. When we stop trying to prove ourselves, we free ourselves from the exhausting cycle of self-promotion. We no longer feel the need to justify our worth or seek external validation. Instead, we focus on living in alignment with our true selves, trusting that those who are meant to appreciate us will do so. This freedom is empowering. It allows us to live more fully, more authentically, and with greater peace. We no longer feel the need to conform to others' expectations or to constantly prove our worth. We are secure in who we are, and this inner confidence radiates outward, attracting the recognition we deserve. In the end, letting others realize your value is a process of trusting yourself, trusting others, and trusting life itself. It requires patience, faith, and an understanding that your worth is not something that needs to be earned or proven. It is inherent, and when others are ready, they will see it. By stepping back and allowing this process to unfold naturally, we create the space for deeper connections, more authentic recognition, and greater peace of mind. We learn to trust that the right people will value us for who we truly are, not for who we try to be or how hard we try to prove ourselves. In this space of trust and surrender, our true worth shines the brightest, and we find the respect and recognition that we so deeply deserve. Control through inaction is a paradox that many fail to understand, yet it holds the key to mastering both oneself and the external world. It is the art of gaining control over situations, outcomes, and even people without forcefully exerting one's will or constantly trying to influence every aspect of life. In a world where action, movement, and constant exertion are glorified, the power of inaction can seem counterintuitive. It goes against the grain of what we are taught to believe, that success is found through relentless effort, hustle, and perpetual motion. However, this concept is deeply embedded in the principles of wisdom, especially when it comes to understanding the power of subtlety, patience, and strategy. Inaction doesn't imply passivity or lethargy, nor does it suggest indifference to the world around you. Rather, it's the strategic choice to allow things to unfold naturally and to refrain from pushing, forcing, or manipulating outcomes. This form of control relies on wisdom and deep self-awareness, understanding that some things are best left to take their own course. Through inaction, one can create space for clarity, reflection, and self-discovery while allowing others and circumstances to reveal their true nature. The strength in inaction lies not in the absence of effort, but in the ability to choose when and how to apply it. The idea of control through inaction is deeply tied to the principle of detachment. Detachment does not mean a lack of concern, but rather a conscious decision to release the need to control every aspect of life. When we attempt to control everything, we become slaves to our desires and anxieties. We grip tightly to the things we fear losing, and in doing so, we create resistance. This resistance prevents the natural flow of life and traps us in a cycle of frustration and stress. True control, however, comes when we release the need for constant management and manipulation. Inaction allows us to let go, to trust that life will unfold as it should, and that our role is not always to force change, but to respond wisely when necessary. There is a power in stepping back from situations, especially when others expect us to act immediately. In many circumstances, our instinct might be to jump in, to assert ourselves, to fix problems, or to offer solutions. However, Inaction creates space for others to take responsibility and to reveal their true character. When we refrain from intervening, we allow people to grow, make mistakes, and find their own path. Our lack of interference provides a mirror for others to reflect on their actions and decisions. It is a form of non-attachment where we free ourselves from the desire to control the outcomes and instead allow others to experience the consequences of their choices. One of the greatest misunderstandings about inaction is the idea that it is weak or passive. On the contrary, inaction requires strength, discipline, and confidence. It takes great courage to stand still, to not rush into action, and to trust that things will work out as they are meant to. It is easy to act out of fear or insecurity, to feel the need to do something simply for the sake of doing something. But true mastery comes when we recognize that action is not always required. In fact, sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is nothing at all. We demonstrate strength when we resist the urge to act impulsively and instead take the time to assess the situation, understand the dynamics, and choose the most appropriate response. Control through inaction is also about understanding timing. Timing is everything, and knowing when to act and when to hold back is a skill that can be cultivated with patience and wisdom. There's an old saying that goes, sometimes the best action is no action at all. This reflects the importance of timing in achieving desired results. Many times when we force things to happen before their time, we only create resistance. We push against the flow of events, which can lead to friction and disappointment. Inaction, when practiced wisely, allows us to wait for the right moment. It helps us to discern the perfect time to make a move, without wasting energy on actions that will not yield the desired outcome. The power of inaction is not just about what we do externally, but about how we manage our internal world. It is about controlling our thoughts, emotions, and reactions in the face of external pressures. Inaction in this sense is not a lack of awareness or presence. It is a deliberate choice to stay centered and composed regardless of what is happening around us. When we respond to life with calmness and composure, we do not allow our circumstances to dictate our emotional state. This form of inner control is often the most powerful form of influence because it sets the tone for the environment around us. People are drawn to those who are calm, steady, and unwavering, and they often seek guidance from those who do not react impulsively to situations. Inaction in this context becomes a tool for maintaining balance and clarity, allowing us to respond thoughtfully instead of reacting blindly. Inaction is also deeply tied to the principle of trust. When we step back and refrain from intervening, we trust in the process of life and in the inherent wisdom of others. It is an acknowledgement that we cannot control everything, and that some things are better left to evolve naturally. When we trust in the process, we are free to focus on our own growth and development, knowing that our role is not to manipulate or control the external world, but to respond with awareness and understanding when the time is right. Trusting in the natural course of events allows us to avoid unnecessary stress and worry. We are no longer consumed by the need to micromanage outcomes or force things to happen on our terms. Instead, we trust that the universe or life itself has its own timing and that things will unfold as they are meant to. Control through inaction also reflects a deeper level of self-awareness. It requires a clear understanding of our own limitations and an acceptance of the fact that we cannot control everything. We must recognize that some things are beyond our control, and that trying to force them into a particular outcome is a futile exercise. It is in these moments that inaction becomes a source of strength. We cease trying to manipulate the world around us and instead turn inward to focus on our own response to life. This shift in focus brings clarity because it allows us to recognize the things we can influence and to let go of the things we cannot. When we accept that we cannot control everything, we gain control over ourselves, and that is where true power lies. Inaction also allows us to develop a deeper sense of empathy and understanding. By stepping back from situations and observing them without immediately jumping into action, we gain the opportunity to understand them on a deeper level. We can observe the dynamics of a situation, the motivations of others, and the underlying causes of events without being blinded by our own need to act. This gives us the ability to respond more thoughtfully and effectively when the time is right. Inaction provides the space for clarity, reflection, and insight, all of which contribute to wiser decision making. Control through inaction can also serve as a strategy in negotiations, relationships, and leadership. Often when faced with conflict or opposition, the immediate instinct is to fight back, to assert one's position, or to try to convince others of our viewpoint. However, inaction can be a powerful negotiating tool. By choosing not to react, we create space for others to make the next move. This subtle form of control can put us in a position of strength because it shifts the dynamics of power. When others see that we are not easily provoked, that we do not feel the need to react to every situation. They begin to respect our ability to maintain composure. And inaction, in this sense, becomes a powerful tool for influence and persuasion, as it allows us to remain calm and focused, while others reveal their true intentions or vulnerabilities. In conclusion, control through inaction is not about avoiding responsibility or ignoring problems. It is about recognizing the power of timing, trust, and self-awareness. It is about understanding when to step back and when to act, knowing that sometimes the greatest strength comes from doing nothing at all. By practicing inaction, we develop patience, empathy, and clarity, which ultimately allows us to navigate life with greater wisdom and grace. In a world that values constant movement and activity, the ability to control through inaction stands as a testament to the power of stillness, restraint, and understanding. Self-reflection is a powerful and often overlooked tool that can lead to profound personal growth and transformation. It is the process of turning inward, taking a moment to pause and examining our thoughts, emotions, actions, and beliefs. This practice is not just about introspection or thinking deeply. It is about gaining clarity, understanding our true selves, and identifying the root causes of our challenges. Strength through self-reflection is an ongoing journey where we intentionally look at our past and present to navigate our future with purpose and wisdom. In a world that constantly demands action and movement, self-reflection can sometimes seem like a luxury or even a waste of time. We are encouraged to keep busy, keep moving forward, and avoid slowing down to look back. Yet in our haste, we may miss valuable opportunities for self-improvement and deeper insight. Strength does not come from the constant pursuit of external achievements or the validation of others. It comes from the courage to face our own truths and the humility to learn from our experiences. Self-reflection allows us to take a step back and recognize the lessons hidden within our struggles, mistakes, and triumphs. The first step in harnessing the strength of self-reflection is to create space for it in our lives. In order to reflect, we must intentionally set aside time to be alone with our thoughts and feelings. This can be challenging in our fast-paced, distracted world, where there are constant demands for our attention. Yet, it is only through this intentional solitude that we can hear our own voice and understand the patterns of our behavior. Self-reflection requires quiet, a moment of stillness, where we are not overwhelmed by the noise of the outside world. It is in this space that we can gain perspective and clarity, allowing us to see things as they truly are, rather than through the lens of our biases, fears, or desires. Once we create the space for reflection, we must then be willing to look at ourselves honestly and without judgment. This is often the most difficult part of self-reflection, the willingness to confront the parts of ourselves that we would rather ignore or deny. We may find that we have made mistakes, acted out of fear or anger, or held onto beliefs that no longer serve us. We may recognize patterns of self-sabotage, limiting beliefs, or unhealthy relationships. The process of self-reflection is not about criticizing or condemning ourselves, but about observing and understanding our behaviors and motivations. Through this awareness, we can begin to heal and grow, making conscious decisions to change what no longer aligns with our true purpose. Self-reflection also involves understanding the impact of our actions on others. Often we move through life without fully considering the consequences of our words and deeds. We may hurt others unintentionally, or we may hold on to grudges and resentments without understanding the emotional toll it takes on us. By reflecting on our relationships, our interactions with others, and our role in the world, we can gain a deeper understanding of how we contribute to the dynamics around us. This insight can help us to improve our relationships, communicate more effectively, and develop greater empathy and compassion. It is through self-reflection that we can acknowledge our mistakes, apologize where necessary, and take steps to ensure that we do not repeat harmful patterns in the future. One of the most powerful aspects of self-reflection is its ability to bring awareness to our internal narrative. We all have a voice inside our heads that constantly judges, criticizes, and interprets the events of our lives. This inner dialogue often shapes our perception of the world and ourselves. It can be a source of strength if it is positive and empowering, or it can be a source of weakness if it is negative and self-limiting. Self-reflection allows us to step back from this narrative and observe it objectively. When we take the time to listen to our thoughts, we can identify harmful patterns of thinking and challenge the beliefs that hold us back. By recognizing when our inner dialogue is critical or destructive, we can replace it with more supportive and empowering thoughts that encourage us to grow and take positive action. Another key aspect of strength through self-reflection is the ability to gain clarity about our values, purpose, and goals. Often we become so caught up in the demands of daily life that we lose sight of what truly matters to us. We may follow the expectations of society, family, or friends without ever stopping to ask ourselves what we truly want. Self-reflection helps us to reconnect with our inner compass, guiding us back to our authentic desires and aspirations. When we take the time to reflect on our values and goals, we can realign our actions with our true purpose, leading to greater fulfillment and satisfaction. It is in this clarity that we find strength, as we are no longer swayed by external pressures or distractions, but instead move forward with confidence and intention. The power of self-reflection is also rooted in its ability to help us embrace change and personal growth. We are constantly evolving, yet many of us resist change because it feels uncomfortable or unfamiliar. Self-reflection allows us to see that growth is not only inevitable, but it is also necessary for our development. Through reflection, we gain insight into the areas of our lives that need transformation and the steps we need to take to evolve. This process is not always easy, as it requires us to let go of old habits, beliefs, and identities that no longer serve us. However, through self-reflection, we can embrace these changes with grace and resilience, knowing that they are an essential part of our journey. Self-reflection also fosters resilience. Life is full of challenges, setbacks, and disappointments. It is easy to become discouraged or overwhelmed when things do not go as planned. However, through self-reflection, we can gain perspective on these challenges and see them as opportunities for growth. Instead of focusing on the obstacles in our path, we learn to focus on the lessons they offer. This shift in perspective helps us to build mental and emotional strength, enabling us to bounce back from adversity with greater determination and resolve. Self-reflection empowers us to learn from our experiences, adjust our strategies, and keep moving forward even when the road ahead seems uncertain. Another essential aspect of strength through self-reflection is the ability to develop a sense of gratitude. In the busyness of life, it is easy to focus on what we lack or what is going wrong. However, self-reflection encourages us to take a moment to appreciate all that we have and all that we have accomplished. It allows us to recognize the small victories, the moments of joy, and the blessings that are often overlooked. This practice of gratitude shifts our focus from scarcity to abundance, helping us to cultivate a positive mindset and a deeper appreciation for life. Self-reflection also helps to deepen our sense of self-compassion. Many people are their harshest critics, constantly berating themselves for mistakes and shortcomings. This negative self-talk can be debilitating, preventing us from taking risks or pursuing our dreams. Through self-reflection, we learn to treat ourselves with kindness and understanding, acknowledging that we are human and imperfect. This shift in attitude allows us to approach life with a greater sense of self-acceptance, freeing us from the grip of self-doubt and fear. When we cultivate self-compassion, we develop a strong foundation of inner peace, which enables us to face challenges with courage and resilience. Finally, self-reflection fosters a deeper connection to others. When we take the time to understand ourselves, we become more attuned to the needs and experiences of those around us. Reflection enables us to see the world through the eyes of others, developing empathy and compassion for their struggles and triumphs. This increased understanding strengthens our relationships, helping us to communicate more effectively and support others in their own journeys of growth. It is through this connection to others that we find strength, as we recognize that we are all on a shared journey of discovery and transformation. In the end, strength through self-reflection is not about achieving perfection or having all the answers. It is about embracing the process of growth, learning to navigate life with wisdom and grace, and continually striving to become the best version of ourselves. It is a lifelong journey that requires patience, commitment, and humility. Through reflection, we gain the insight and clarity needed to overcome challenges, embrace change, and live with purpose. It is through this inner strength that we find true resilience and the ability to navigate the complexities of life with confidence and ease.